regarding Sergey Prevedeniuk, I might be getting that wrong, DBA Kerboy Auto Incorporated, failure to comply with the conditions of the Class 2 and 3 licensing issued for the premises located at 71 Moshbog Road. Town administrator update, discussion of water and general fund split for Stallion Hill Water Tower, discussion on the updated application for temporary moorings, floats, raft, and docks. Votes may be taken. And then action items consisting of consideration and possible action on the appointment to serve as conservation agent, consideration and possible action on the appointment of the Conservation Commission of an associate member, consideration and possible action by the Board of Selectmen to sign the Blueberry Hill Conservation Restriction, consideration and possible action to accept a letter of resignation from firefighter Joseph Dodorian, which I'm having pronunciation issues tonight, effective April 1st, 2024, consideration and possible action to accept a letter of resignation from Nelson Burlingame, building inspector effective May 21st, 2024, consideration and possible action to open the special town meeting warrant. Votes may be taken. Consideration and possible action to close the annual town meeting warrant. Votes may be taken. Old business, discussion of healthcare, new business, correspondence, approval of minutes, citizens forum, and then an executive session with adjournment thereafter. So with that, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And again, I'd like to take a moment of silence for the wars in both Europe and the Middle East. Please just take a moment to reflect. Thank you. And with that, public service announcements. Mary Lou?
Nothing here.
Chase?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. Mary Dowling?
I just want to thank everybody who attended that first Mix and Mingle Saturday night at the Public House. Special events put it on, and we're going to try to do it periodically, maybe once a year, depending on funding. We had about 100 people attend, and it was good. And 2 weeks ago, I didn't say, I hope everybody had a blessed Easter. That's it.
Harry Blanchard?
Just a reminder that the water department is out flushing hydrants.
And on Monday, what's happening?
It's happening now.
No, on Monday?
The town election.
I got you, Mary.
I know. Long weekend.
I know. All right. And so, anything else, Mary?
No, that's
okay.
it.
And again, reminder that there are elections on Monday. With that, we're beginning with the show cause hearing. Is the petitioner here? No. Okay, so this is not a public hearing. But I think it is probably an appropriate time to have a discussion about what is occurring at Kerboy's. For those that don't know, we'd issued the license conditionally for a few months in the beginning of the year, assuming that they would come into compliance with what we thought at the time was a conservation restriction, but we had a larger conversation about opening it up to all compliance townwide. And since that time, they haven't allowed conservation on the property, and it's come to our attention that they construct, per the building commissioner, that they have constructed a large metal garage that has been raised with no permits. And it's a large steel commercial garage that needed to be engineered and inspected, along with having all the electrical needs looked at and inspected. I think there are concerns, so beyond the building inspector and Concom, there's also concerns around the aerials and whether or not they're staying within the footprint of 71 Moshbog and not dipping over into the properties on River Road that go behind it. And it does seem that cars, at least by what they provided from the engineer, I want to say in March of 2023, that they were dipping onto the other property. So unless there, and beyond even that, and this is not going to the permitting decision, but it does appear that it's, they might be operating a solid waste facility because it doesn't seem like a lot of those automobiles are moving. And that if you can break the car down for parts, if you have a permissible facility, but you cannot leave it there in perpetuity without appropriate licensing from the town, the Board of Health, and the state. So, but that is secondary to the action tonight. That is not part of the record that we're proceeding upon. It's just something noting to the community. And with that, I think we have substantial evidence to move forward with revocation of the conditional license issued earlier this year. So with that all stated, any comments, questions, thoughts from the board?
No, I agree totally, Jamie.
Anybody else?
I echo your sentiments as well.
Okay.
I agree.
Same here.
Okay, so with that, do we have a, I guess the motion would be to revoke the Class 2 and 3 licensing to Sergey Prevedenyuk, DBA Kerboy Auto, for the premises located at 71 Moshpag Road.
Okay, I'll make a motion that the board revoke the temporary license for the Class 2 and Class 3 licenses issued to Sergey Prevedenyuk, doing business as Kerboy Auto, Inc. on December 19th, 2023, for the premises located at 21 Mashpog Road, Sturbridge.
71, Mary.
Oh, 71.
I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor? The ayes have it.
Make it was a conditional license, right? Or was it a temporary license?
It was
Conditional,
Conditional.
so let's put that in there. Because the conditions weren't met. If
Well, it
we
was
can make
temporary too, because it only
It's
went through
both,
March.
conditional
it
and
was both.
temporary.
Yeah.
So with that, we're moving to the town administrator update.
Okay, just quickly, I didn't do a bi-weekly memo because most everything sort of had a cover with it. I do want to say, the welcome sign went in. Please, the public has seen it, and that's great, but it is not complete. The landscaping still needs to be done and whatnot. So we know there were some questions about the way the sign was seated, sitting up a little bit. We had to comply with DOT breakaway standards. So that was an important component of all this, but we have landscaping money set aside from ARPA, significant landscaping funding. Jean Boubon is working on that. I want to thank Joe Foucher from Brimfield Sign, who did beautiful work and design work on this. Jean for shepherding this through. It had to go through our design review to ensure that it complied with their standards. Obviously, the board saw some designs on it. Joe had some tough setbacks in the middle of it all, and the theme was to pick up a little bit on that Wayfarer theme that we have and continue with that. There's a little bit of discussion on the veneer on the bottom. One of the reasons we did not go with real stones was that project is set to be done by DOT, that roundabout. We did not feel financially it was prudent to put that kind of money into real stones and have to dismantle them in maybe 5 to 10 years, but we don't want to wait 5 to 10 years for a sign. So this was a solution in the meantime, that we felt was the best sort of bang for the buck and still got what we needed. We are looking forward to getting the mulch and the loam and some greenery and flowers and whatnot around it. And we're looking at doing something from the back side of it as well. A few people asked about the angling of it. It was set up so that people coming off the 90-84 corridor would see it, because most of our tourism, most of our outside visitors come in that direction. So just a little bit of an update on that. And hopefully within a few weeks, we'll have plantings ready to roll. But I want to thank Jean for her efforts and all the committees that were involved in pulling this together. So, and thank you to, I know Mary and Chase were really both adamant about having this done and some beautification. We also need to continue to beautify down 20. We talked about that at my retreat day, and we will continue to work on that to really pick up on this theme of making that whole corridor aesthetically a little more pleasing, given the nature and the beauty of the town.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I think it looks really good. I think it's a nice addition to the town, and it's a lot better than what was there before, so.
Thank you. very briefly, discussion of water and general fund split for Stallion Hill Water Tower. This is on the warrant, this water tower. Tonight, you don't have to vote all of these articles. You may choose to vote some or not from the warrant. But just to give you some food for thought, that water tank at Stallion Hill needs to be replaced. It's a approximately $3 million project. The Stallion Hill tank, it has to be replaced. There's no question. And the problem with that one is, while we would have capacity to provide water if that tank goes down, we do not have capacity to provide proper fire suppression. So that tank is a critical part of the town, not just for the ratepayers, but for the town as a whole. So the question, and this is really for the board to think about, is, and we sort of need to know, because we're also looking at potentially up to $500,000 in grant funding for this, is if the board feels that because this tower does provide fire suppression, and a portion of this is for everybody, not just the ratepayers, and it also does provide water, obviously, to a lot of our businesses over there. Is this something that the board feels should be financially split between water and general fund?
What are the grant ramifications? Is it a public safety grant versus another one?
This is, I believe, part of an EPA grant, the same grant that we did Maple Street water lines on.
Okay, but does our decision impact? Okay.
No, the decision doesn't impact, it will go either way. It's, that $500,000 would likely come off the general fund side, as the grant would come to the town as a whole, likely that's where we would see the relief. But I just something to think about. Again, you may not vote to place that article tonight, or you may vote to place a contingent, but I just want you to all have that, just something to toss around, and as we go through to the next meeting, you can think about it and any questions you have for Heather, she'll be at that next meeting to discuss all of these.
Okay.
So that's just an update
It would
on
seem
that.
to me, just as a point of context, if the general fund gets the relief, that at least that amount of money should come from the general fund. Is that?
Go ahead,
No,
Mary.
go, you started
Well, I was
first.
just about to say, if the public benefits at large from the fire safety aspect and all the businesses on 20, then I think the ratepayers should not shoulder the whole thing when the benefit goes to everybody. It's kind of common sense, I think.
Yeah.
That was kind of how we felt, and we just felt we kind of, typically that would normally be a ratepayer project, but given that particular tank, other tanks, yes, ratepayer, this one I think was definitely up for some discussion.
Mary, you're
I'd still like to see some numbers
Yes.
on
Sure.
what it would cost, because I really don't think it's fair. I understand the point about the fire suppression, but I really don't think it's fair of the ratepayers to have to pay double, because, well,
Right.
in their taxes,
Right, either way, a ratepayer gets it on both
you know,
sides, yeah.
which is, so I'd like to see some definitive numbers on borrowing. What's that going to be? On the tax rate, what will that do?
Yeah, and we don't, right now, that certainly is going to have an impact on debt service overall. However, if it's 1.5 and we can get about $500,000 off of it, if we were to get that grant, which we spoke today to them, and it sounds like something that is a decent possibility, though we can never guarantee these things. But $1 million on the, defined in debt service. Obviously, we're not looking to do a debt exclusion for something like this. We would try to find it in the budget. But again, that's a lot of money to find in a budget, even when you amortize it out.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a enterprise fund, but we have a quasi-enterprise
Yes,
fund.
and that's why we would have to show that there is a justification to say that 50% of the use of this would be, I mean, you don't use it all the time for fire suppression, thank God, we don't need it all the time, but is it an insurance factor? Because without it, we do not have the level of fire suppression that we would need, even to fill the tankers for people who have wells. There would not be enough, it's not just for people who have town water right there, this is what we use to fill the tankers. So, we'll get you more numbers, but I just wanted to float that across everybody's radar.
Yeah, and beyond numbers, but I think Mary's point's also, it's not just numbers, it's funding sources.
Yes.
And where the
Yeah.
money can
Yep.
go to, because that's
Can
a
we-
bit distinct.
Can the enterprise, well, explain that to me a little bit more, but we can do it later.
Yep. And then Michelle has been doing some work on comparing communities that have different types of dock permits. And so as a board, you handle temporary dock permits. And in the past, it's sort of gotten lost in the shuffle and nobody's really asked for it or updated them. But according to the procedure, it's not actually a bylaw. It's a procedure that they are supposed to come in front of the board every year, but we have no real format for applications. So Michelle did some research and pulled together a possible application, and we just wanted to show that to you, see if you're comfortable having us now start actually having a proper application as opposed to somebody just comes in and says, you know, here's what I want to
Putting
do.
a boat in.
I'm putting a boat in. Yeah, I mean, you need something for them to fill out, other than just saying, I have a boat, and, you know, my dock is this long. Because we ran into this a little bit last year with some temporary docks, and there are rules on the procedures, but nothing that asks them to actually fill it out, because they're supposed to actually reapply every year. What we're looking at doing is the first year they have the dock, have them fill this out, and then if they are putting the exact same dock in the next year, when they come up for reapplication, they can simply say same specs as last year. We're not gonna, you know, make it that difficult.
Any comments? Thoughts?
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, good job.
That is it for me.
All right, great. Moving to the action items. All right, action item A, consideration and possible action on the appointment of Lauren Vivier as a Sturbridge Conservation Agent, starting salary at $84,403 a year.
So, welcome to Lauren this evening. We put out a call for applications. We received several qualified applications. We narrowed to 4. Lauren's interview for all of us on the committee was Jean, Heather, myself. I think I can speak for all of us. She sort of knocked it out of the park for us. We were very, very pleased, and we forwarded a recommendation of Lauren to Conservation. In fact, Mr. Goodwin is in the back here today. Mr. Goodwin and Erin Carson, the assistant agent, met with her. Both were supportive of the selection of Lauren. She comes from Spencer. So we're cherry picking a little bit, but we're lucky to have such a qualified applicant. Her background, her wetlands experience, and her management and leadership have spoken for themselves. And so I, with great pleasure, bring forward Lauren as my recommendation for the conservation agent.
All right, questions from the board, thoughts?
I thought you have a great resume.
I was gonna say it was
And,
impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. And we're not totally taking from the surrounding town because you live in Fiskdale. Yes. So you feel like.
She's one of us anyway.
That's more like coming home again, so. But no, and she's also had experience as a town planner, so I think you'll work well with Jean on a lot of projects tend to involve a lot of departments, so I think it's great.
Great, with that, do we have a motion?
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of Lauren Vivier. Is that how you say it?
Vivier.
Vivier. No French in me.
I did the best I could, Mary. It was a real swing and a miss.
As the Sturbridge Conservation Agent, starting salary at $84,403 a year.
I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor? The ayes have it. Welcome aboard.
Thank you so much. Look forward to working with you all.
You gotta do the formality.
We're very formal. It's very real paramilitary operation.
Vacations. Jamie runs a tight ship.
All right. With that, moving to action item B, consideration and possible action to confirm the appointment of Florencia Manano, I can't talk that out, Manano, to the Conservation Commission as an associate member.
So Florencia met with me a while back, and we actually asked her to serve on open space.
Yes.
Yes, which she has been doing, and we have room for an associate member on conservation. Mr. Goodwin spoke with me, and we really feel that Florencia, with her background, a huge science background, tremendous background, and is it
Biology and geography.
Biology was, I couldn't remember geography. It's a pretty impressive resume. And we are pleased to ask for the support of the board for Florencia as an associate member.
All right, any questions, thoughts from the board?
Just a question, what are the obligations of an associate member?
I'll defer to Mr. Goodwin on that one.
Be brief.
Do you want me to call him the elder Mr. Goodwin, or really?
Generally speaking, but specifically, to fill in when a member is not there, as an active member. So in other words, 4 people show up, we open a new file on something, the associate member fills in that spot, and she would fill, or she or he would fill in that spot for that whole, for the entire thing. And that's kind of how it works. You could probably ask me something that would trick me up, because there's probably a few situations that would have some, complications, but I can't think of any right now.
It generally helps protect us. We've had a few situations where a member isn't there or has left, and there's nobody who's heard enough of the hearings per the law to be able to vote. And I think this will help us alleviate some of that, because she would have sat and heard everything.
In fact, we have a member that has declared that he's leaving in June.
Yeah.
And so to bring somebody on, even for the last meeting that he's at, if he's not going to work on something, then that's a problem for us. So having an associate member that can step in and do that solves that.
We've had projects delayed as a result of that.
Yeah.
Do we have any other associate members now?
No, we've never had one. This is the first one ever.
Really?
Yeah, it was like,
We had the position. I mean,
yeah, it's been,
For a couple years, anyway.
yeah, I was going to say 3 years, but that we voted it in, but we've never used it. So this is, we have another position, so we could have two.
So will she be attending all the meetings?
Yes.
Okay.
yeah. Like a member, yeah. And then when somebody leaves, then we have an associate member that we have looked at and can move into the position, and get another associate member.
And then in that theory, if she were to move into that open seat, she's already heard the hearings on those projects.
Right.
So that doesn't have to start the clock all over on those hearings.
If you miss, and you guys have, I don't know if our regulations or rules are different, miss two hearings, even if you've signed the Mullen report, you can't vote on it. If you've missed two, you're out of it. So you could get to a point where you'd have to start over again.
So even if we had a quorum,
file.
a vote on a project might not be able to be taken.
It's pretty stringent, too.
One of
Two
them
is not
tonight
a
hit
lot.
a little bit of that,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we don't have just a majority in Sturbridge, it's a required 3 votes.
Right.
But I mean, missing 2 meetings is not really that much,
No, it isn't.
You know what I mean?
It's
If somebody
very-
gets sick, and then someone in your family gets sick, or you're on vacation, or.
Yeah, and a complicated project goes for a long time.
Right. I think it's a great idea.
Okay, any other
Does that answer it, Mary?
yes, thank you, Ed.
Any other questions, comments from the board?
You're willing to step into the role as an actual member when that
Yes.
person leaves? Okay.
Anything else?
Okay.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I'll make a motion to affirm the appointment of Florencia, how do you say your last name?
San Germano.
Okay, to the Conservation Commission.
Italian, French, and.
Don't have any Irish here tonight.
Yeah, you're alone on this one, I got close.
To the Conservation Commission as an associate member.
I'll second that.
Great, all those in favor? The ayes have it, thanks, Flora.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Nice to see
Thank
you.
you. Nice to see you.
All right, we are moving on to action item D. Consideration and possible action to accept a letter of resignation from firefighter Joseph Doldorian, effective April 1st, 2024.
You skipped C.
Did I? Oh, I did skip, yeah, I skipped
No,
some,
that's,
sorry.
yeah, don't skip
Oh,
that one.
never mind. We're going to action item C, consideration and possible action for the Board of Selectmen to sign the Blueberry Hill Conservation Restriction.
So this has been a long-running project. In fact, it was one that I think got caught up in some of that Mullen situation, and they had been through, here he is.
I'm here.
They had been through planning a while back. Planning has had their site visits, I believe. Conservation did have their visit last week, and I believe that everybody got voted at Conservation last week, and I believe everything is in order. And Jean and Erin are here to speak on it, and Mr. Goodwin is here as well.
All right, I mean, do you want to just give a brief oversight, Robin, for the,
So there were parcels on this where there's land that falls under conservation, and there had to be discussions on how that land would be used, where the wetlands were, where the setbacks were, what the trails were gonna be, if there were gonna be trails on it, which we've determined there are not going to be trails on it.
Correct.
And the reason there were some timing issues is actually the smutty nose bat, was that, and Becky's here, she knows the bat name. The long nose, long nose bat? Yeah, yeah, and,
Out of order.
sorry, I dragged you into that one, I'm sorry. But it actually has a habitat breeding season, and so the project had to get going before, so that the bats hadn't nested, and we didn't interfere with the breeding, so they found other places to nest. So that's kind of where we're at. It's been an ongoing project, and I'm comfortable at this point that we have all the sign-offs that we need to have it move forward.
Okay. Questions, comments from the board?
No, I have no questions.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion for the Board of Selectmen to sign the Blueberry Hill Conservation Restriction.
Second.
Great, all those in favor? Guys have it, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh,
There's actually multiple, you might want to make multiple, there's
Yeah, there's
oh, okay,
There's
so we only have it on the agenda.
three
for one.
documents. There's one for Blueberry Hill, and then I'm here on behalf of Fisk Hill
Okay.
East Realty Trust.
Okay.
Two of those
I know it,
restrictions
I
are
kind
on.
of know it, but there's 3 documents before you. One is for Justin's property, Lot 3. There's another property, Fisk Hill East, which, as part of the conservation order of conditions, part of the order included a declaration of restriction on an adjacent parcel called Lot 4.
Four, yep.
So there's actually, we need 3 votes. We need a vote for Justin's parcel under Lot 3, Blueberry Hill, which is 6 Berry Farm Road. We also need two second votes under the Lot 4, which is the Fisk Hill East Trust, which one is a declaration of conservation restriction, and the other 2 are conservation restrictions. A grant of conservation restriction as one. The second grant of conservation
Yeah,
restriction
Blueberry
under
Hill we've done.
Lot 4, and then a declaration of restriction under 4.
Okay, so one, let me make sure we understood it. So we just did the 3 and 6 Blueberry Hill, and then you need a statement on Lot 4, Fisk Hill East Trust, that is a declaration of a conservation restriction.
Yes.
And then you need just a motion that's the actual conservation restriction on the same land?
It's actually, yes, it's the same owner, but it's a different lot. It's Lot 4B.
Okay, so it's Lot 4, Fisk Hill East Trust, declaration of conservation restriction, and then Lot 4, Fisk Hill East Trust, 4B, is that the second motion you need?
That's the conservation restriction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
So both properties are not no passive recreation, is it all open space?
Correct. On the declaration of restriction, which is on what we've been calling it Lot 4A, the ultimate goal with that is for it to be donated to the Massachusetts Fish and Wildlife within a year. So the declaration of restriction would go away, Fish and Wildlife would take over that, and that would adjoin their parcel that's to the north of that 56 acres already.
So that's why it's a declaration, because it's moving on?
Correct.
Got it.
Okay, so I guess the second motion is to approve the Lot 4 Fisk Hill East Trust Declaration of Conservation Restriction.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All right, all those in favor? Ayes have it. And then the third motion is the placement of a conservation restriction on Lot 4B, Fisk Hill East Trust.
Correct.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? The ayes have them. Great. Anything else?
That's it, right?
Then I
That's
just
it?
need we need actual signatures. I don't know.
Yeah,
do we need-
Right.
We can get those after, right? Or do you need them now?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay.
You want to pick them up tomorrow?
All right, and now to the resignation.
I gotta come back out here for something else anyway. Yeah,
I'll be in my office. I get in at 8.
Where did I put my?
I'll be here a little bit later, probably 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, now we're moving to the consideration and possible action to accept the letter of resignation from firefighter Joseph Dildorian, effective April 1st, 2024. All right, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And we thank, do we have all those in favor? Great, and we thank him for his service.
Was there an exit interview?
I don't know, I'll check with Chief Grasso as to, we can get you anything back on the reason.
And then moving to action item E, consideration of possible action to accept a letter of resignation from Nelson Burlingame, building inspector, effective May 21st, 2024.
So Mr. Burlingame has indicated that he is retiring, and he will be with us through May, but we did want to put this on an agenda so that we can start advertising for the position. I'd like to thank Nelson for his service to the town and the knowledge that he has brought to the position.
All right, do we have a,
Yeah, I make a motion to accept the letter of resignation from Nelson Burlingame as Sturbridge Building Inspector, and thank him for all his work through the years.
effective May 21st, 2024?
Thank you.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
And I also want to state for the record that I think Nelson's done a very good job in a very difficult position, because building inspectors are not always, it's not always the happiest role to take on with residents and businesses, and I think he's always tried to be very fair. And he's had a lot of his own personal things, and he's stayed with it, and I am going to personally miss him in that role.
All right, moving on. So we are consideration and possible action to open the special town meeting warrant. Votes may be taken.
So the special town meeting warrant has a couple of, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4 articles. They're sort of the standard ones: the snow removal deficit, unpaid bills, transfer funds for streetlights because the LED conversion hadn't happened completely. It should be done by this year. And then betterment payoff was the dissolving of betterments. So those are the 4. We need to have it opened, and if you want to vote tonight on those 4 to place, some can be, we don't have the numbers obviously on everything yet on these, but you can open and close, and then we can reopen it if you need to.
All right, do we have a motion to open the special town meeting warrant?
Make a motion to open the special town meeting warrant.
All right, all those in favor? The ayes have them. All right, the warrant is open.
We need a second.
Oh,
I'll second that.
yeah, Chase will second it. All those in favor? All right. So that is open. Do we want to discuss this now, or do we want to discuss it in the context of the whole warrant? This is, starts on 2. Or 1, excuse me.
You can make a recommendation to place, right?
Yeah, we can do that.
Are you talking about the health insurance?
No,
No,
the
the
4, the
special.
special
For
4
Article
articles, if you want to make a
56,
recommendation to
Article
place.
57, and for the crowd, it's Article 56, snow and ice removal, Article 57, unpaid bills of a previous year, 9/10 vote required. Then Article 58, transfer from free cash for streetlights, and then Article 59, betterment payoff, dissolving betterments. So, do we have all the numbers? These are non-final numbers, Robin?
No, snow and ice, we do not have a final yet, and the unpaid bills, we do not, because that usually just has to get rectified as we come toward the end of the year. But the transfer of funds from free cash and the betterment payoff, we do have numbers.
Okay, and they will not change?
No, I do not believe it will.
All right, well,
I think sometimes with the snow and ice in that last one, those we actually don't always have until closer,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, then I'll make a motion, just place Article 56 and 57.
Second?
All those in favor? All right. Article 58, transfer of funds from free cash for streetlights, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $72,000 to the streetlight account, or take any action relative thereto.
So moved.
Place.
Place and support.
Yeah, place and support. So move to place and support.
Yes.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Yes.
All right, and then Article 59, betterment payoff, dissolving of betterments, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $7,980 from the fund balance reserved for the sewer betterment for the purpose of paying recording fees to the registry of deeds, or to take any action relative thereto. Any motion or discussion?
Okay, motion to place and support.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? The ayes have it. All right. Do we need, we can keep it open, right?
You can close that one, actually, if you want.
Oh, yeah, we already
We
voted.
voted.
It's not gonna
Okay, I'll
change.
make a motion to close warrant for the special town meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? The ayes have it. All right, moving on to action item F.
That was F.
G, Mary Lou, don't get me started. Consideration and possible action to close the annual town meeting warrant. Votes may be taken.
So you opened this warrant, it was in draft form, we've updated it, we had to add a couple of water sewer articles and whatnot. So we need to close it tonight, but of course you can always reopen to take votes on certain things. You can make a motion to place everything tonight and then vote them a different night. You can make a motion to place and support some of the pro forma ones tonight, or if you want to discuss them, it's really in your court. We just need to close it in some fashion tonight, we can always reopen. But we just need to have a closed warrant to move forward. FinCom will start discussing these articles in the next week.
So what's the board's desire? Because we're meeting FinCom on Tuesday?
We have our joint meeting on Tuesday. They're starting on this Thursday, and they're probably going to look at some of the more basic warrant articles, the pro forma ones, but we'll really ramp up after April 9th when we present the budget, as far as then FinCom goes to the rest of them, every Thursday after that.
Well, what's the desire of the board? Do you want to discuss tonight, just place and hold? Or
I'd like a little more time to read it.
I agree, yeah.
Right, there was a typo.
Where? I knew you'd find at least one. I was expecting more. If that's only a typo, I'm really happy.
I forget which one it was, but it was, I'll find
Now you're
it.
killing me. You can always email me with the typo.
Yeah,
Okay.
Get out your red pen, Mary.
yeah, there were two typos, actually.
This is, this is payback to me for teaching writing
the
for a
longer
lot
you
of
make
years
this
and doing
go
this
on,
to
the longer you talk, the more typos they're gonna be.
She's gonna find, okay, I'm gonna shut up.
It was, I marked it up, I don't know why it's not marked up.
It's our, well, we can,
Mr. Hedda.
Yes.
Did we have a first copy?
Huh?
Did we have another copy of
You
this?
had an
before?
original copy,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, that's.
This has
what
been
I s-
changed since.
Yes.
Cleaned
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Farquhar was spelled wrong,
Yes, on that one.
and I know you caught that.
That's okay.
That's a big one.
Half the world spells it wrong,
yeah.
but I'll find it.
You'll find them. I have no doubt you will.
All right, so do we just have a motion to place so we can close it?
Make a motion.
Articles
All the
1
articles,
through, do you
warrant
want to do
articles,
1
that's
through, Articles 1 through?
There are
42.
42. I'm not gonna read them, but can we, I'll make a motion to place Articles 1 through 42, pending further discussion.
Second.
All those in favor? Ayes have it.
And we can reopen on the 16th, and we will have Heather and Barbara here on the 16th as well.
Yeah.
Okay, the 70/30, we're on to old business now, which is the 70/30 split discussion regarding healthcare.
Yep, so I got you, Mary wanted some numbers. We were able to get you the numbers of what it had been and what the changes were. What we really couldn't calculate was what it would have been if we didn't have the decline of 10 to 12% on the two plans, because we likely would have had an increase of 4 to 8 was the trend that it was going. And the year that we negotiated and said we were gonna go out to bid, they dropped 10 to 12, so I wasn't really able to get you an apples-to-apples comparison. But what Barbara gave you is sort of what the cost is generally to do this. And again, our effort is to really support recruitment across the board. And I did give you the comparables, I believe. Mary, I think I sent you
Yes,
this.
you emailed
Yes, and we did have comparables, and outside of, I think, Spencer, we would be the second sort of highest employee contribution compared to Spencer. Everybody else has a lower employee contribution. Some are 75-25. I think the 70-30, actually, from the list that we had, does fall in a fair range, and I think puts us in a much more competitive position. without any detriment to town services. We were 50 some odd thousand ahead of the game last year with that downturn we had. I also think of note was that the employees have really been paying attention to healthcare as a consumer product. Our increase was the lowest of the Maya increases at 2.2% this year. They had guaranteed us under 4 as part of that negotiation last year, and we came in at 2.2. So we continue to hold wellness forums. Lynn takes the lead on a lot of these. We have exercise classes here now in the afternoons after work. So there is an effort to understand that the healthier we are, number one, we want a healthy workforce, but number two, health equals economic benefit for the town, as horrible as that sounds, but that's a reality. So.
What's thoughts, questions, concerns from the board?
Go ahead, Mary.
No, you-
I was going to say, I mean, personally, I'm supportive of it. I think, Robin, you've done a fantastic job. I don't know if we've said it enough from last year when you approached the MIA and said we're going to go out for bid, and they reduced the premium by over 40%. That was significant. I mean, that was very impressive. And you say they guaranteed a maximum of 4%, but it's 2.5, and I think you just said 2.2.
Yep.
So am I reading this correctly, that the impact is going to be 122,000?
Yes. Yep.
To
go to 70/30.
Contribute 5% more, it's only going to result in 122,000. What is, I just want to ask this, we'll be adding a low-cost plan.
Oh, yes.
As we have been paying penalties. And what were the penalties? And I wasn't aware.
I don't know the exact number, and this is very new with the American Health Care Act in the past few years. So this is something, the penalties lag a couple of years behind. So this is, the town has just started to incur these. If you don't offer a plan that is a certain percentage of your lowest paid employees, you have to at least offer a plan. It might be a high deductible plan that nobody wants.
Right.
But you, or very few people would want, but you at least have to offer that minimum plan. If you don't offer that minimum plan, you actually pay a penalty, and I think we got like a $45,000 penalty. So Maya brought it to my attention this year.
On an annual basis.
On an
the
annual basis.
45,000.
Every year you don't have that plan.
Yeah.
And it's based on the number of employees that fall into that times. There's a formula for it, so it might change. So we are in the process, we have to get a representative from each labor union together for our insurance committee. And we're going to implement a low-cost, high-deductible option that will allow employees who fall into our $35,000 or $40,000, I think it's $38,000, $40,000 range at a 30% contribution to that plan that falls within a percentage of their income. And that will stop us from incurring that penalty. It won't help us this upcoming year, but in the next year, we may stand to save $40,000 to $45,000 for adding that plan.
So my next question, I think you already answered it. That 122,000 takes into account that we paid a penalty for this year.
We will be paying,
Right.
yeah, it won't offset that penalty for this year, but going forward, even if we go up another 2.2%,
We'll be
we're
deducting
hopeful that we won't
45.
have 45 in penalties. Yeah.
And we never had a union I guess, pardon me. We never had anyone request a low-cost plan. I mean, no TA ever brought it to our attention
No, and
that we're
it's,
paying a
yeah,
penalty.
and it's relatively new, and it's just hitting Barbara's books, I think, this year now, so it's just come onto her radar. And Maya brought it up to my radar and said, you may not be compliant, and you're probably paying penalties. And I called Barbara, and it was just sort of coming onto her radar. So this is all sort of coming to the forefront, but it really was something that probably started about 2 or 3 years ago, and it's now just beginning to catch up onto the books.
Okay. Mary, do you have anything?
no, I'm certainly in favor of it, as far as the recruitment. But I do know at town meeting, we've had the general audience, a good number opposed to increases like this because some people don't have any insurance.
Sure.
We did not, I was pleased we didn't get resistance last time when we did the 65, 45.
Time
and-
before we did.
Yeah. But, I am happy, I will certainly, speak to it at town meeting if there is a question. I will have the comparables ready for people if there are questions. And if anybody listening has questions ahead and wants to see those comparables, I'm happy to provide those as part of a public record, certainly.
Can I jump back for a minute? I did find Got your typos.
Oh, she's killing me.
That's closed, Mary. It's gonna reopen and you can typo correct.
No,
I'm not
no.
opening the whole warrant on typo.
On principle, she wants these open.
Go on, tell her.
I know you can't help it. You're gonna burst if you don't tell
You
me.
know, it's Article 31,
All right. Goodness gracious. All right.
and the title, water treatment, should be planned, not planned.
Oh, okay. You didn't tell me. You set me up.
And I
Alright.
forgot
She's
the other.
supposed to have my back, apparently she doesn't.
So, all right, but to the 70-30 split, I mean, I think that it makes sense. It's from a value spend perspective, it is discrete. It helps recruitment. It helps our people's financial perspective. It helps our employees financially and really has no negative adverse impact on the town. So, do you need a vote on it, or do you want to?
I would like a vote on that. I think it's too important to just sort of willy-nilly put into the budget.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that the town pay 70% and the employees 30% of the health insurance.
Thank you.
Do I have a second?
Second it?
All right, great. All those in favor? Great, the ayes have it.
Thank you.
No, thank you. All right, moving to, all right, other old business. Mary Lou, any old business?
No?
Chase?
I have none, thank you.
Mary Down?
No.
Mary Blanchard?
Nope.
And I have none. Going to new business. Mary Blanchard?
Nope, just the water flushing.
Yeah. Mary Down?
No.
Chase?
No.
Mary, okay.
If I could just jump in, we are, I believe it'll be tomorrow, posting the high water usage numbers.
Okay.
Will be on the website tomorrow. I will put something out on my Facebook page and the town Facebook page. Heather has drafted sort of a cover memo with that to explain to people what to look for. If they're on this list, how do you look around your house for a leak, and all sorts of advice on that. So I just wanted to update you all that the readings are happening, I think today and tomorrow this will get posted.
I
It
think it
happened
was,
last week.
I think it was Chase's suggestion, though. Aren't we gonna have a letter that gets mailed out as well?
That's gonna happen too with the bills, but in the short, and that letter will go with that, but in the short term for the website, it'll be up and then we'll start mailing.
Okay.
We'll do an
Yeah, 'cause
insert
they
with the bill.
just
We can
read
do
the
an insert
news.
with the bill.
Oh, because you had said earlier that because we use a service, we only had one line and we were gonna have to mail it separately.
Oh, so we are
Has it
gonna be
changed?
able to, yes, Barbara checked, we are gonna be able to do an insert letter.
Okay, that's-
And on the bill itself have a website.
And I think we were able to do this a couple of years ago when we wanted to, and I think the ball got dropped.
So it will happen.
So a letter can actually go in the
Yes,
bill.
so that's my new business update.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, and I have no new business. We are on to correspondence. I think we had correspondence regarding the 71 Moshbog, but that has been
done, so.
discussed. All right.
We also got an email about a bag.
About a what?
Wait, hold on. Am I the only one that got it? Oh,
I don't know.
hold on. I guess I can do it next time.
Okay. No, you can, if you,
Well, it's addressed to Miss Jamie Goodwin, which is,
Let's not get into that.
it's a brave new era, man. But the,
I'll do it next time.
Okay.
I'll forward it to people.
okay, all right, so then we are on to the approval of minutes. Let's begin with the January 3rd, 2023 minutes, which Mary Lou was not at. Any edits?
I didn't see any.
Anybody else? Chase, Mary Dillon?
No.
So, motion to approve as written.
I will second that. All those in favor? And we have 4 in favor, 1 abstention. Michelle? Because Mary Lou was not on the board at that time. Okay, we are moving to the May 1st, 2023 minutes. Which I don't think you were at, Mary Blanchard.
Nope.
So from the remaining rest of the board, any edits?
No.
All right, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right, I'll second. All those in favor? The ayes have it.
One abstention.
And 1 abstention. October 2nd, 2023. Again, Mary Lou was absent from this one, which she got 10 demerits for. Any edits? Any edits?
No, not for me.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve is written.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor?
One
Great.
abstention.
All right, now we're moving to citizens forum. Anything from the town? All right, Becky. You're obsessed. Like, what is, you got?
Missed you guys, no? So Becky Gendro, 15 South Road, obviously I was your conservation agent. I just want to say thank you for your attention to the matter at 71 Mashpond Road, so I appreciate that. But just to be clear, that revokes the Class 2 and the Class 3 license to operate a business there. Thank you, nice to see everybody.
Good to see you.
Okay, so nothing else from the community? All right, then we're gonna boot you out for an executive session. All right.
Yeah, so before we go into
Oh.
executive session, we have to get all the signatures.
Oh, we need to get signatures.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so everybody's got to sign before, and then we'll go into executive.
Sounds good.
By revoking that license, they can't operate.
I thought